Let's begin with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stushtovagam Sastanobihi Yashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vrittasravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti na Stakshorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mandukya Upanishad is our text for study. We have seen almost the entire text, consisting of 12 mantras. This is the shortest Upanishad which we can study. It's a very deep analysis of our own experience in this Upanishad. When we are doing a spiritual study, it is not an objective study. It is not information about something in this world. It is a totally different type of study. Here, one has to look at oneself and go deep within oneself and try to understand something about oneself. So this is the difference between an objective study and a subjective study. It's a totally different science altogether. The entire spiritual philosophy of so many different varieties which we get, right from Buddhism, Jainism, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Christianity, so many different religions and so many different philosophies exist. But when it comes to philosophy, it is all related to knowing our own nature or knowing the nature of the Creator. Advaita philosophy believes that that Creator is not in a far away distant place like a heaven, or it is not in a swarga, but it is within us, and we all have a possibility to realize this truth. That is where Advaita stands totally apart from all other philosophies. So when we study this Upanishad, we must note that we are trying to go deeper and deeper into our own nature. And what else can we look at besides our experience of day-to-day waking state, dream state, and sleep state? There cannot be anything better than this. If you talk about Anubhava, there is nothing else. I mean, we experience this every day. In the sleep state, we can't do anything. It's just in the waking state, we know that there is a sleep state. In the dream state, we can't do anything. Again, that means 2 states out of the 3 states, we are totally unable. We can only understand some nature in that. But what Upanishad reveals is that in the waking state, you can realize that your nature is not what you are seeing in the world, but it is the seer. It is not Drishyam, but it is the Drik. That is what is the most important message. You are the Turiya Atma. Turiya Atma is totally different than the waker status which we have, or the dream status which we have, or the sleeper status which we have. These are all status which belongs to the mind. It does not belong to the real me. So the real me is pure consciousness, pure Sat. Sat means existence. The seventh mantra of this Upanishad is a very important mantra. And anytime you want to realize the core nature of yourself, you want to meditate on something, you can just take that mantra. After now having studied in very big detail what Advaita means, what Prapancho Upashamam means, what Shantam, all these words we have analyzed in very big detail. So I'm quite sure by now, at least you have got a thinking pattern which is not going outside into the world, but it is going slightly deeper inside us. If we have achieved that, that itself is a very big goal. Instead of searching outside for answers, all types of answers, who is the creator? Who am I? How did the world come? All that answers all lie hidden in our own self. And this Upanishad teaches us a prakriya, a methodology. You see, different Upanishads use different methodologies. So here is a very beautiful methodology of trying to understand what is this waking state. Is this waking state independent, or does it depend on me, the Turiyam Atma, which is the pure consciousness observing principle? This is a fundamental question we all have to find an answer in this Upanishad. The waking state is not an independent state. You may feel that the world exists by itself, but the truth is it does not exist by itself. World is inert by nature. The body, mind, intellect, and all the objects in the world are not self-existing. This is the fundamental truth. We must accept this. This is what the Upanishad is revealing. It is the fundamental truth which Shankaracharya tries to reveal in all the Upanishads, including Bhagavad Gita. And we must accept this. I, the Turiya Atma, the Sat principle, the Chit principle, am the substratum. I lend existence to the world, lend existence to the body in the waking state, and I resolve this entire waking state into myself, which is the pure Sat Chit Atma. It may sound very difficult to accept it, but this is the truth which the Upanishad is trying to reveal. There is something called as a pure being. And that pure being is defined as Turiya. Like in 23 Upanishad, that pure being is defined as Sat Chit Ananda Atma. Here it is defined as Turiyam. In Mandukya Upanishad, it is described as Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Agandham. It is not this, it is not this, it is not this, it is not this. in the language of negation, the truth gets revealed. Because truth is not an object to be seen. It is an object to be claimed as my nature. Today, we derive the sense of self from the body or its possessions, from the mind or its attributes, from the world of objects and relationships. This is what our current state is. And this current state is giving us the problems of samsara. What this Upanishad reveals is drop this sense of self and take on a new sense of self, which is the Turiya self, which is the timeless self, which is an independently existing self. It is a changeless self. It is Shanta Swarupa, Advaita Swarupa. That is what our sense of self shifted to Turiya will give us the immortality which the Upanishad promises. I no longer, this is a very important point. Please understand this very carefully. When I derive the self, then the sense of self with reference to the body, I am born, I am changing, I am old, I am young. All this is with reference to the sense of self with reference to the body. Similarly, I become angry, I become sad, I have no knowledge, I have ignorance, I have knowledge, I have likes, I have dislikes, all this with reference to the mind. I am honored, I am dishonored, I am a karta, I am a doer. These are all with reference to the sense of self pertaining to the mind and intellect. This is what in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, if you remember the verse, the Lord describes this entire nature in a very beautiful verse, the 8th and the 9th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavit pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swashan. All these are all activities. Pralapan, Visrujan, Unmishan, Nimishan, Napi, Indriyan, Indriyarteshu, Vartente iti dharaya. The 8th and 9th verse of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The same idea is given in the 9th chapter. I'm bringing out these mantras so that you can see where Turiya comes up in Bhagavad Gita. Nachamastani karmani, the 4th mantra of the 9th chapter, 4th and 5th mantra. So the chapter 5 and chapter 9, if you compare the two verses of chapter 5, chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, Maya tathamidam sarvam jagata vyakta murtinaha mastani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu vastitaha nachamastani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhutavarnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. See, in these 4 verses, you must realize that the Atma aspect is revealed. The Turiya aspect is revealed. What is the Turiya aspect? It is the higher principle. It is not a karta. It is not a bhokta. This is the most important message of these 4 verses. Normally, I take myself as a doer of actions. I take myself as an enjoyer in this world. If By this knowledge of Turiya Atma, which is a pure being, I am able to drop this nature of self, the sense of self with reference to the body. If I'm able to drop it, and the mind with reference to it, I'm able to drop it. I'm already in the lap of Turiya. This is the real truth. This is what the Upanishad is trying to convey. It is not something which is to be, it is with thought about in my mind as what Upanishads say. That is Paravidya. I should own up that as my nature and make it Paravidya, Aparavidya to Paravidya. I must own it up. See, that is the difference in the subjective science, in the study of spiritual science. The spiritual study makes me totally different than what I thought I was before. It is a complete shift in the thinking pattern of the mind. Total shift. I no longer consider myself as limited. At the end of Mandukya Upanishad, what you are expected to learn is, I am the Turiya Atma. And when this jnanam comes to us, at that time, we can say that the world of waking is as good as a dream. Not before that. It is only when you have the knowledge of Turiya Atma, you can then, in your own mind, you don't have to tell anybody else. You can say that all my experiences in life are happening only when my mind is active. Only my mind is active, I see the world. That means the mind is responsible for all my experiences. Therefore, the observer mind, the observer principle is the truth. But the observing principle is not the mind, it is the Atma, the Turiya Atma. That is the ultimate observer. The experiences which I have come about only because of the mind. The world exists in the mind, world dissolves in the mind. That fact must be clear. And in the sixth mantra of this Upanishad, it makes it very clear that the sleep state is not a sleep state which is like a physical sleep state. I want to differentiate that. A physical sleep state means your body is resting, mind is resting, and you're not aware what you are at the time of sleep. That is what I will coin it as physical sleep. And what is spiritual awakening? Spiritual awakening means that in that sleep state, I am a witness to the mind. That is the spiritual being. If I come to know that, I then start saying, I am Shuddhaha, I am Muktaha. These are all with reference to that witness principle of the sleep state. Here you're not talking of the normal physical sleep. You're talking about a shift. In the physical sleep state, you are spiritually awakened. And then you can say that I have a Shakti, which is Nidra Shakti, which can project a dream. I have a Maya Shakti, which can project the entire waking state. And who am I? I am the Turiya Atma, Satchit Ananda Atma, which is a Chetana Adhishtanam. Chetana Adhishtanam means it is a sentient being. Without that sentient being, the observing principle, the existent principle, which lends existence to the three worlds, waking, dream, and sleep are the three worlds. They don't have an independent existence at all. The Turiya Atma lends existence. When it lends existence, it is called as Adhyasa. All our activities take place only with Adhyasa, only with superimposition. All activities, whether it is waking, dream, or sleep, in sleep state, it is still an activity of not knowing my nature. My nature is covered. It is Karanavastha. That's all. But the knowingness of the sleep state belongs to Turiya Atma. So when I bring this knowledge of Turiya Atma and own that Atma as my real nature, I have understood this Mandukya Upanishad and I have got the full benefit out of it. So this is what our study so far has been. We are in the 4th chapter, AlatashantiPrakaranamin. This is the slide we stopped last week. Alatashanti means it is a state in which you try to understand the mind which brings forth this entire waking state. There is an example which we will discuss today in the end of this. There is an example which is given that once you understand the example, it will be very clear. So we were discussing different darshanams. Darshanams means different philosophies. Advaita darshanam means I, the subject, am always different from the object. That is Dvaitam. And this Dvaitam, initially Advaitam accepts it. In the waking state, we are all Dvaitins. In the dream state, we are all Dvaitins. In the sleep state, we are Advaitins. And in the Thuriyam state, we are Advaitam. That is where the difference lies between Dvaitam and Advaitam. So Dvaita Darshanam is based on karma phalam, punya papam, and so on. And what it means is that you are always a doer of action in Dvaita philosophy. Then you go to Swarga. In Swarga also you are still in Dvaita. But you merge with the God principle in Swarga, in heaven. That is after we leave the body. But we do not. In Advaitin, we say Swarga is here and now. Whatever you are talking about, whatever merging, whatever you want to experience as your nature is, we should be able to experience it here and now. And one of the main arguments which they use against the Dvaita philosophy is, it is anirmoksha prasanga dosha. It has got anirmoksha prasanga dosha. Means what? If you are a Dvaitin, if you are always looking at the world as different, God as different, then there will be no moksha at all. There is no freedom from limitation at all. Then the study of this entire Upanishad or any literature is meaningless. Then there is a bhauda darshanam, and there are many scholars in this philosophy also, where after studying the entire scriptures, they say that the whole world is nothing. Okay, that is, we also accept it as nothing. Advaitin also says it is nothing. The Bhauda philosopher is a close younger brother to Advaitin. They walk a long distance together. That means we agree on almost everything which they say. It is very close to Advaita and it says Jagat Mithya. That means all our experiences are false. This is the Bhauda Matam, the Buddhist philosophy. But the only thing what they say is it is Shanikam. Shanikam means that this consciousness which we are saying as Nityam, eternal, what they say is it is only momentary. Momentary consciousness. I'm thinking about my family, it is a momentary consciousness. I think about tomorrow, it is again momentary consciousness. So what Shankaracharya says is consciousness is not momentary, but the mind is momentary. There is a consciousness flow which is continuously, changelessly, which is there. In that consciousness, thoughts are coming and going. If I attach myself, if I see the thoughts, then I am different, the seer, and the thoughts are different. I will experience a momentary consciousness. But if I say that the thought is inert, this is where the difference comes. Thoughts are inert. I am the consciousness observer in which the thoughts are rising and thoughts are falling. The consciousness doesn't change. The observer principle, Chaitanyam, doesn't change. It always exists. It never dies. This is what is Advaita. So this is the difference between, in this chapter, in the fourth chapter, Gaudapadacharya takes up each philosophy and discusses this in detail. If you want to go to the depth of this, you can study the fourth chapter. There are 100 verses where you can go through and you can discuss and you can understand how Gaudapadacharya gives reasoning to say that Advaitam is the truth of the universe. It is not Advaitam is the truth of myself. That is one part of the truth. But this body-mind merges into Advaita Atma, and Advaita Atma is the reality of the universe. Because in the deep sleep state, the universe merges into the same Atma in which the body and mind merges. That is what is called as Tattvamasi. Beyond that merged state, which is called as the deep sleep state, undifferentiated state of the universe, is this Atma, the seer, the consciousness principle, which is aware of the unmanifest condition of the universe. This is how we have to understand Turiya. This understanding of Turiya Atma is very important for moksha. That is where the freedom lies. Understanding itself is moksha. If you understand Turiyam, you have the freedom of limitation here and now. There is no more postponement of moksha. That is what is the revelation of the Mandukya Upanishad. So, who am I? The correct understanding is, I am Nitya Vijnanam. Nitya Vijnana means I am, full stop, existence. That is what it is. I am is the right knowledge. I am a woman, I am a man, I am a female, I am a male, I am young, I am old. All that are all attributes. Those are all superimposed on the I am. This is the way we have to understand Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. All this mean the same thing, which is that Nirguna Brahman, objectless awareness. Suppose I remove the body and mind right now in my own understanding. I say I am not the body, I am not the mind. If I am not the body and mind, all the possessions in the world outside become zero. They get dissolved into the and become unmanifest. But do I exist or not? I am. Yes, that is what is Turiya. That is what is the pure being. That never can be negated. What cannot be negated is the truth. What can be negated is called as mithya. The waking state is a superimposition on this I am. The dream state is a superimposition on this I am. The sleep state is a superimposition on this I am. I learned to drop the superimposition, which is just a temporary attribute for the Atma, and learn to remember I am the pure being all the time. That is what is conveyed in the second topic up to verse number 27. The third topic is 28 to 54. The Vedantic teaching is put in is the main subject matter in this section, and which is what? Aham Turiyam, Atma is Satyam, and Jagat is Mithya. When we say Jagat, Jagat means universe. In Mandukya, universe consists of three pairs. In the one pair in the waking state, one pair in the dream state, one pair in the sleep state. The waker is the observer in the waking state. The same Turiyam becomes the waker. The same Turiyam becomes Taijasa, the dreamer. The same Turiyam becomes Prajna, the sleeper. And what does it experience? It experiences the gross Sthula Prapancha, gross universe. Or in the dream state, Sukshma Prapancha. And in the sleep state, causal, unmanifest condition of the universe, which is called as Karana Prapancha. This is how I have to understand. If you can remember this chart, that the universe is three pairs. Remember this chart, it's very easy because all of us are experiencing it. Everybody knows this. Only thing, we are giving a name to it. Name to our experience. Why do we give these names of Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna? It is for my mind to travel in the direction of each state. And then also travel and see what the objective universe which I experience. And what is Turiyam? It is Vilakshanaha. Vilakshana means beyond. It cannot be defined, but it is beyond the three states. Because it is incomprehensible, it is not possible to give a word to it, you cannot describe it, but it exists. And all of us can experience it as our pure nature. All the time we can experience. You tell yourself, I am not going to experience my thoughts. Tell yourself, I will drop it. You will be able to drop your samsara. All the people who have understood the nature of Atma, because that Turiya Atma, it does not have any connection with the thoughts. It is only seeing. If any thought is disturbing to you, after this Upanishad, because you know the truth, I am the Turiya Atma. Assert yourself and say, I'm not going to watch my thought right now. Any thought, let it come and go, but I am not going to get attached to it. It's possible. This way, if you practice the abhyasa, practice non-identification with the thoughts, you will have tremendous amount of peace in life. In spite of all the activities and events which will go on in the waking state, dream state, sleep state. Because you know the truth of Atma. Then only you can say that the world is unreal from the Turiya standpoint. With reference to the body, again and again, I'm telling you, it is not possible to say that the world is unreal. Because in the waking state, when we are acting in the world, you should never try to say that. Let the events go on, because that is the nature of the world. That is the vyavahara. That is the law of karma, which is acting. But Turiyam is not affected by the law of karma. Is dream real or unreal? With reference to the dream body, it is real. But with reference to the waker body, we say it is unreal. Similarly, waker's world or the waker, is it real or unreal? With reference to the waking body, it is real. But with reference to the Turiya Chaitanya, the consciousness which alone exists, it is unreal. Now we come to why we call this chapter AlatashantiPrakaranamin. There is an example which is given in this chapter. It's a very beautiful example to explain to us how experiences come in our life. All types of experiences, right from our childhood till today, if you really look within as the pure consciousness, how do we experience our daily life? Because this is what happens internally in our mind. Alatashanti means it is a fire brand. Fire brand means it is like a agarbatti, an incense stick. A long incense stick. Suppose you are in a dark room and you have lighted an incense stick, and then you move around in a circle. This is in a dark room, not in a lighted room. In a dark room, you're moving it in clockwise, anti-clockwise directions. So what do you see? You see a light pattern, a circular pattern of light. The eyes are able to see a circular pattern, continuous pattern of circle going round and round and round. You can't see the one single light. You can only see the agarbatti going round and round. So as far as you are concerned, it is just a pattern, moving pattern. And you take that as Satyam. You would say that there is a pattern which is there and it is moving. Now, when you take the example, you should employ it with Turiya Atma. For the pattern, which is a karyam, which is an effect, which is anekam. That means there are different patterns. If you move around, you can get different patterns. You can have a wavy pattern, you can have a circular pattern, you can have a squarish pattern, rectangular pattern. All of them can be changing. Anekam. Anekam means varied. They don't have a reality of their own. They are dependent on the fire band. They are dependent on that one small dot of the lighted incense stick. The lighted small dot of light is that incense stick is Satyam. The patterns are not, they are effects. They are mithya, they are only appearing. That light of the firebrand is Swayam Prakasham. It is lighted by itself. Whereas the pattern is a moving. It depends on the movement. Then only it can be seen. If the example is understood, now we come and apply that knowledge, that example to Atma. What we say is consciousness is Satyam. Consciousness means that one small light, that light is always there, eternally there. It is only one. But when it gets reflected in our mind and the mind has got thoughts, movement of the thought is inert. But when the light comes in, it appears as if that the thoughts have got life. So matter, subtle body, it's a very fine matter. In that fine matter only the consciousness can shine, not in a desk, not in a chair, not in a wall. That consciousness is everywhere present because it is all pervading. But only in the mind, because of fineness of the mind, which is the fineness of a thought, this pattern is changing. It gets reflected. Now this mind with reflected consciousness is the jiva, is who I think I am today. Because throughout our day, what do? We are only identified with our thoughts as me. From waking to, from morning to evening, I, the consciousness, am getting reflected in the thoughts. Instead of saying I am the consciousness, I drop the consciousness and then I look at the thought and say, I am the thought, I am doing this, I am a karta, I am a bhauda. And the thoughts are keep on changing and my life keeps on. It becomes one day happy, another day sad, depending on if the external condition is good, conducive to me, then I say I am happy or sad because the thoughts are happy or sad. The thought patterns are changing and they are getting superimposed on the consciousness. This is a brilliant example given by Gaudapada Acharya to prove that consciousness doesn't change, that consciousness is eternal, and what changes is the mind. What changes is the thoughts. All of us can experience this. This is a live example which each one of us can experiment with it, but it requires practice to understand this clearly. You keep practicing it daily. I am the consciousness. The thoughts are jadam. Thoughts are inert. They are getting illumined by me, the consciousness. Keep saying that. And see whether you're able to segregate and say that the thoughts don't have existence of their own. And thoughts come only when I see the body. The awareness of the body, awareness of the mind, they come together along with the awareness of the world. All three come together simultaneously in the waking state, exactly like how it happens in the dream. In the dream, it is not the dream tiger comes 1 minute later and then something else comes and it is all at one shot, it is projected. The whole dream world is projected at one moment. And you see the entire universe of dream. Similarly, the entire waking state is also a projection of this Shakti called as Maya. This Maya Shakti, if I can cross over, I have won the Turiya battle. That's it. You only say that through the Nidra Shakti, I see the dream world. Through the Maya Shakti, there is a power in this body, there is a power in the mind, which is throwing out this entire experience of waking to me every single day. And what the Upanishad says is the waking experiences are there, but they are not, they are all dependent on this consciousness. And when we understand this experience clearly, then only we can say that Jagat is Mithya. Here, Jagat means the world of objects, not the consciousness, which is Atma. We are talking about Anatma Kshetram, the mind together with the attributes of the waking state belongs to Kshetram. 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. I, the Turiya Atma, am Kshetrajna. Kshetram is not independent. It depends and it resolves into the Kshetrajna, the Turiya Atma. That was the third topic, which talked about Advaita principle. Alatashanti example is given in that up to the 54th verse, which is the main gist of the fourth chapter. Then different disciplines, different sadhanas are prescribed from verses 55 to 90. And all these sadhanas are meant, sadhanas means like Nididhyasanam. You have different types of disciplines to only accept my higher nature as Turiya, which is beyond time and space. There is only one thing which is beyond time, which is Atma, which is what I am in when I drop the physical sleep state and I get into the spiritual awakened state of Turiya. Consciousness, in the first mantra of this Upanishad itself, this is what was said, this was what was taught, that Atma is timeless, the first mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. If you go back and read the notes, you will find it is that first verse which is again repeated in the last section. It is the same Turiya Atma which comes down to the level of Vishwa, Taijasa, and experiences Desha, Kala, time, space, world, which we call it as Jagat. If I know the Turiya Atma, then it is called as Jnana Kala. In the waking state, it is called as Jnana Kala. If I don't know the Turiya state, it is called as Ajnana Kala. So we can either live as a Jivan Mukta while living itself and say, I know Turiyam, I know my nature, full stop. I have understood Mandukya Upanishad, I know I am the pure being, which I am, which I can experience it in my meditation. Yes, I can claim that Swarupam as my Swarupam. When I'm involved with the world, I may not be able to claim that. It's okay. I will accept the world of events as they come. And whenever I want to go into my own real nature, I can go in. I can drop because I know the methodology. The Mandukya Upanishad gives me the prakriya to drop the three states and claim myself. That is the beauty of these 12 mantras. It is so beautiful and it's so direct and it's so easy to understand our real nature with reference to the three bodies. And all the security which we need in this world does not come from the money which we possess. It does not come from the house we possess. It does not come from the relationships which we possess. It comes only by the knowledge of Turiya. Let this be very clear. Whether you study Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads, always remember the knowledge, the security which we are searching for in the life is only from Turiyam nature of Atma. Nothing else can give security because everything else is changing. And once we learn how to get the security, then there is no other, we don't need anything else in the world. I can always depend on Atma, the Turiya Atma, for my freedom from limitations of the body and the mind. So in the 90th verse, the Gaudapadacharya, the author of Mandukya Karika, he says there are 4 things to be known right in the beginning. And what are the 4 things? The things to be avoided, the object to be realized, the thing to be accepted or attained, and what are the thoughts which are to be rendered ineffective. 4 things. Everything else, he says, is imagination, except the substratum, which is Brahman. He gives us the 4 things. I need to drop the world of Anatma. I need to get attached to Atma. These are still thoughts in the mind. And when the thoughts are dropped, what really is the balance left over is this pure Turiya. What it means is, in our life, we live our entire life with as imagining certain situations in life. Either we imagine the past, regrets, or the future anxieties, or the present frustrations in life. I am having a horrible life today. That is also a thought. These are all agitations which are persecuting us in time, very important. But my nature is not in time. I can drop this and say, I am the timeless Turiya Atma. That is why the nature of the being is timeless, mindless. There is no mind in Turiyam. Because there is no world in Turiya. All alone to the Turiyam state is my goal. And that is not a goal also. You see, Advaitam is so very beautiful. It says that the destination, it is not even a goal. It is our nature. I just have to accept it as not even a goal to reach. It is not, because the moment it becomes a goal, it is in time. I have to bring that Turiyam back into time. Turiyam is not a state like a Swarga state, which I will attain. It is not a place to go. It is timeless nature. The more we understand what is timeless, by dropping our identification with the body and mind, you will be in the lap of Turiyam automatically, which is called as the lap of freedom, moksha. This Upanishad makes it very easy for us to achieve the 4th Purushartha, which is called as Moksha Purushartha, which is the security, which is the Purnatvam, which is the fulfillment in life. It gives us Shanti. This Shanti is not the Shanti or the peace of the silence of sound. This is the nature, Shanti, which is the nature of unproduced sound. The produced sound may have a silence, but this is the silence of Atma. The Shanti, the peace of Atma, has to be realized as our nature. It's a totally different experience altogether, because ultimately it is our own nature. And that Shanti is expressed as Ananda, objectless Ananda, reasonless, conditionless Ananda is the only Ananda in the world. Every other Ananda, happiness, is an objective Ananda, which is dependent on so many conditions. I will be happy if this happens. I will be happy if this happens. These are all objective Ananda, which is totally different than the Atma Ananda. And anybody who has had a small drop of this Ananda, a glimpse of this Ananda, will never go in and search for Ananda outside in the world. He will be fulfilled here and now while studying this Upanishad, because it is my Swarupa. I cannot miss it. I am ever free, Nitya Muktaha. That is the truth. Moksha is not something which was not there in the past. It was my ignorance which I had to remove. I had to remove the wheeling of the ignorance, which I was suffering for so many lives, thinking the deep sleep state as a physical sleep, not awakening to the spiritual enlightenment of Turiya. The last verse, Gaudapadacharya says, having realized the state of the supreme Turiyam, which is difficult to grasp because it is unborn. It is not in time, therefore it is unborn. If it is unborn, it is changeless. And it is knowledge. This Turiyam is knowledge, pure knowledge, which is called as Chit, the consciousness. And it is free from plurality. Very important. Advaitam comes here. In the last mantra of the Upanishad, he says, it is Advaita. There is no plurality in Satchit Atma. And that is what I remember throughout my life. And he says, I offer namaskaram not to the God in a temple, but I offer namaskaram to this Turiyam principle, which is there in my heart. And this namaskara is not a physical namaskara, it is a namaskara in the form of a thought. The mind goes towards the Sakshi and does the namaskara. The Sakshi embraces the mind and says, come and join me, you and I are not different. This is what is called as Tattvamasi. You are that Sakshi, which is always there. You who thought you were the ego I and suffered in the world of plurality have now joined the Advaita Atma and have realized your true nature as pure Satchit Turiya Atma. With that, we close this section, and the whole mantra, the 12 mantras which we had, I will quickly run through it just as a closing introspection. The first mantra gives the explanation that Turiya Atma is always beyond time, beyond the past, beyond the future, beyond the present. There is no time in Turiya Atma, the first mantra. Second mantra is a mahavakyam. It says, I am Atma Brahma. All this whole world is nothing, but it is Atma. And this Atma is Brahman. This Atma means the truth in this body is the truth in the universe. There is only one truth. And then it says that the Atma consists of 4 parts. And what are the 4 parts? It starts describing the state of deep sleep. It starts describing the state of waking. In the third mantra, the waking state is described. In the fourth mantra, the dream state is described. In the fifth mantra, the sleep state is described. The fifth and the sixth mantra, both they are talking about the sleep state. And in the sixth mantra is very important because here is where he says that in the deep sleep state, I am one with Ishvara, the creator of this entire universe. And hence we say it is Advaita. This should be very clear why Advaitam, and because of Advaitam, we say I am non-dual by nature. I am always free from duality. The seventh mantra gives the full description of Turiya Atma. The most important mantra in the 12 mantras is the seventh mantra. Very useful for contemplation, very, very often quoted verse of this chapter, of this entire Mandukya Upanishad. The seventh mantra and the second mantra are often quoted. The eighth mantra starts talking about how I can try to understand the Turiyam with the help of Upasana, meditation on Om. And here in the eighth mantra, it says that Om consists of 3 letters, A, U, and M. In the ninth mantra, it says the A stands for the waking state. In the 10th mantra, it says the U stands for the dream state. In the 11th mantra, it says that the sleep state is derived or expressed as Ma, A-U-Ma. That is why in my meditation, I keep on saying, chant Om, and then observe the silence. The silence is expressed in the 12th mantra, which is called as Amatra. Amatra means there is no more letters. It is no letters anymore, it is pure silence. And in that silence is where the whole world merges. When the whole world merges, then what happens is you have reached that unmanifest condition is also gone. You alone remain as the pure consciousness. What is that? We cannot describe. You have to go back to the 7th mantra. It is something which cannot be described. It is not, does not come in the field of Vyavahara. All that is described in the 7th mantra. So with that, we complete the Mandukya Upanishad text. And next week, we will take up our study the 10th chapter of Panchadasi. For those of you who are interested, you can, I will send you the invitation like usual. If you are interested in the text to continue the study of Upanishads or continue the spiritual study, Panchadasi is a very beautiful text. It consists of 15 chapters. What we are going to study is the 10th chapter. Why I picked up this 10th chapter is one of the students had asked me to take up Panchadasi. And then I said, okay, I'll try. And then I was looking around, and the 10th chapter, many teachers have spoken about it. You can find a lot of talks in the YouTube also on the 10th chapter. And so next week we'll see how it is. And like I said, if there are any, I've started receiving some names of texts. People have started writing to me if they they want me to take some other new texts after Panchadesi. I have not decided what I will do after that. If you are very keen on something, just write to me. I will see if I can prepare the notes and so on. But otherwise, we'll see what the group wants after Panchadasi. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. I will now unmute everybody. So in case you have any questions, you can ask them now. Does anybody have any questions on today's session or anything on concerning Mandukya Upanishad?
Shekhaji.
Yes, Shama, how are you?
Very well, thank you so much.
So it was your desire for me to do the Mandukya Upanishad.
Absolutely. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah.
About 6 months ago, you said you wanted me to take Mandukya, so I decided.
No, it's wonderful. It's definitely the key essence of all Vedanta, you know. So
Yes.
Ultimately you come to this. So thank you very much for that. Just really so that I have understood correctly. So, and then I have a question. So I am this objectless, beyond time, space, beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. I am within and without all objects, within and beyond all the states as pure Turiya.
Yes.
In fact, we should not say pure Turiya, because when you say Turiya,
yeah, that is enough.
It is enough. All existence is within me and without. Yeah.
Yes.
This is also the end of all plurality into singularity.
Yes.
In fact, it's continuous. You know, you can't say when does it become.
That's singular. Correct. There is no more plurality at all. There is only one singularity.
Okay. The question is, you know, this Shanti of Turiya.
Yes.
Yeah? Is it describing where even the, because to me it feels as if it is you know, we started everything is within Om. Okay?
Yes.
I want to know whether this Turiya is even beyond that sound Om.
Yes, it is beyond the sound Om.
Yeah.
Because beyond the sound Om is the unmanifest.
Right.
And that unmanifest is not Turiya. It is Turiya is beyond unmanifest.
Right.
So that is where how deep that consciousness is. That is how you can say, so deep is my own nature, in which I can accept that the world is in me. You see, ultimately I have to say this Atma is Brahman. And when I say Atma is Brahman, that is Brahman is nothing else but Turiya.
Turiya, yeah. And it is, and it's therefore, of course, the complete Purnatvam and Ananda.
Yes, that the Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Mudamujade, that mantra is an explanation of Turiya. Right. In that Purnam, Turiyam, from that Purna Turiyam, this whole waking, dream and sleep, the three states come. These three states are also Purnam. because it is coming from the infinite, it is also, these three states are also continuously there. Eternally they are there. So what I experience as the waking, dream and sleep is nothing else but Purnam. So ultimately from that Purnam Atma, the Turiyam, when this waking state comes, there is no change at all happening. It is only an appearance. And I, the pure consciousness, am just experiencing the world. And this world is not outside me. It is not inside me. It is me.
Yeah.
Because it is the substratum. That me, Turiyam, is the substratum. That is where ultimately we say that knowledge, pure knowledge is the substratum, the Chit is the substratum for the Sat.
So that knowledge part is the Chit. Knowledge part is the Chit.
That is the Chit.
Yeah.
And
so
the Sat is the existence part.
Existence, Chit.
So existence, existence and Chit and bliss, they're all one. It's only one concept, which is Turiyam. Turiyam is the name of Satchit Ananda.
Correct, yeah.
And so what we have to learn from this is that in day-to-day life, let the events come, because events will come in my life. The practical usage of this Turiyam knowledge is that I get to have a strength of mind to face any challenge which comes in our life. Because I know that these changes are happening and they are all events which have the substratum. They have no other, they cannot affect the substratum, which is my pure self. I am the consciousness, which I am. And that experience of that consciousness is, I go beyond the sleep state to go and understand the Turiyam nature. In the waking nature, it is very difficult for me. My mind has to travel through that consciousness and learn to differentiate or discriminate the waking and the sleep state. The waking, dream, and sleep states, I should be able to visualize in a split second. My mind gets if you start training your mind to see that waking, dream, and sleep, your mind will be able to visualize the three states in a split second. It's possible for the mind to just go into that state and come out of the state. In a split second, it can go in and come out. That is the beauty of this knowledge. And what happens is, whenever a thought arises in your mind, you will be aware. I am aware of my thought. And now I'm thinking of this. Do I need to think about it or do I need to drop it? This choice of dropping the thought will come to you, and that is called as the strength of the mind.
Right.
You say to yourself, I don't need to observe this thought. That's all. It will go away. And when this happens, you will find, oh, this thoughts which is disturbing me, which was disturbing me 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, all that was only thoughts. And what has changed is only the thoughts. Now the thoughts have become peaceful because it has learned that thoughts depend on the observer consciousness, the Turiyam consciousness. So does it answer your question?
Yeah. So really, the only last bit which I want to know is, so what will be driving, the drive which we have during our wakeful state about do this and do that and whatnot, all the karmas, the nitya karma, naimitya karma.
Yeah, correct. Let it continue. let that continue.
So that will obviously continue because that's as part of the prarabdha karma, which the body and the mind has chosen to be, and whatever it is, at what stage of one's physical life it is. But the element which I want to ask is because isn't the Atman described as the inner controller?
Yeah, that is the Ishvara part. You see, Atman has got two aspects. One is the Saguna aspect, one is the Nirguna aspect. The Nirguna aspect is the fourth state, the Turiyam state.
Turiyam, correct.
The Saguna aspect is the Ishvara state of the Karana Prapancha. The controller is the Antaryami, which is the third state.
And that will keep working through the mind.
Yes, that works through. That is the one which is responsible for all the thoughts which come to my mind.
But as it is merging, this the Turiyam state, as this is merging with the other, one would imagine, I'm just imagining that this is then, so in other words, the change which will be there, I will be still doing the same karmas which I used to, but it will be in a very highly concentrated, very pure state. So if I apply my mind, I'm just imagining that.
Yeah, you don't need to imagine. This is the fact of life which is happening. You see, only thing is you become aware. That is why I quoted the two mantras of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord Krishna is saying that you will continue to do all this, see all these actions happening, you know, Pashyan, Shrinvan, Jikran, all that 4th and 5th mantra of the 5th chapter, which I said. So if you go through that, what he's saying is you are the Turiya Atma, everything else is as though happening.
Yeah.
As though. Eva. In Sanskrit, they say Eva.
Eva, yeah.
Eva. So that Eva means as though. So a jnani says, as though I am a waker, as though I am a dreamer, the Turiyam is acting as though I am a waker. That's all. Whereas Ajnani will say, I am the doer of action, I am a karta, I am a bhokta.
But isn't the quality of the work or whatever you're doing, isn't it getting more and more refined?
Oh, of course. It gets the focus and the concentration you're able to have on all the activities will change.
Thank you. That's the.
It's a tremendous achievement if you are able to live as the Atma and see the entire Anatma happening in Atma. You see, that your focus on whatever you're doing, suppose you are cooking also, suppose you're cleaning the house also, you will do it so well, you would imagine that how come? Because your entire mind is in that.
Yeah.
Your mind is no longer wavering, you see.
No, yeah.
You have trained your mind to look at whatever you do, whether you study psychology, whether you study philosophy, whether you study physics, whether you study chemistry, or you take any topic.
Yeah.
You will achieve a tremendous amount of concentration, focus, and clarity in life. That clarity comes because your mind has got purified now. Through the study of this Upanishad, through the study, just by studying the Upanishad, studying the Bhagavad Gita will give you the purity of mind.
And the meditation.
And the meditation. The meditation is tremendously useful. There are many seekers who have written to me. They have communicated to me the importance of meditation, how much bliss they have understood, how much dirt in their mind has come out and it's become clean, you see?
Yeah, and externally, I am finding that I clean things so wonderfully well. It's amazing.
Yeah. So very good. I'm very happy with your you know, with changes which happen in oneself, changes in the thought patterns, changes in the lifestyle. You know, you take life as it comes, but not with so much of your hold on your attachment to the world, they get slightly loosened,
Yeah.
and you accept things much more today.
Very definitely. Very definitely.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I really thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So the next week is going to be Panchadasi, the 10th chapter. It is an extension.
I've never read. Have you? Will you be able to send some brief kind of summary? Or I've never studied Panchadasi.
Okay, if you want, I can give you an introduction of Panchadasi in 2-3. To give you a glimpse of all the 15 chapters. I can do that.
Because otherwise, I'll have to study myself.
Yeah, we need it.
Okay,
yeah,
so if you want, I can give you a glimpse of Panchadasi first before starting the 10th chapter.
That would be very nice. Thank you.
It's a completely new text. And just to remind you, this was the text I have heard that Swami Chinmayananda, he was taught this text first by his guru.
Okay.
This is the text which he had taught him, and it's extremely deep and extremely, if you do all the 15 chapters, of course, it's wonderful, but when you will get a glimpse of it when I take the 10th chapter. You see, the 10th chapter it reveals the nature of Turiya. The same nature of Turiya which was discussed in Mandukya, it is extended in the 10th chapter of this Panchadasi. Okay, I will give you a glimpse of it. I think I will take a session or 2 sessions initially, just to give you a glimpse of the entire Panchadasi. There are notes available in the website. But anyway, I'll be circulating to you some notes which I have prepared for this next week. Before the class, I will circulate the notes which I have prepared for the 10th chapter.
Okay.
But I have not prepared anything for the summary. To give you a gist, I have not prepared anything, but I'll just talk next week and you'll see it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're doing so much, I tell you.
No problem.
You're giving us peace of mind. I don't want to miss your class. I may not express myself, but I enjoy it.
Oh,
God bless you. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're doing a very great service, I tell you.
Okay.
But please continue doing something like this.
Yeah,
Don't
Shama
stop.
Bama is also in London.
Are you? That's
yeah, she's also in London.
She's in London?
Yes.
Oh, that's so strange. That's so strange. So I think we have reached Mandukya Upanishad because all connected, So suddenly I realized.
Because everything is a part of Turiya only. There is only one.
I'm in St. John's Wood.
Oh, very good. Now I'll love to, it'll be very nice. We have an extended Vedanta.
Definitely. Thanks to Mr. Shekhar. Yeah, I tell you, you are giving a lot of peace to me.
Oh, very good. I'm very happy.
After Bhagavad Gita, what are you going to do?
Oh, that's a long way. That's a long way ahead. I have not even given a thought so far because right now I'm in the 15th chapter. I have to take the 16, 17, and 18. But to answer your question, I will be taking Kaivalya Upanishad after Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
That's a beautiful Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, which is an extension of Mandukya Upanishad.
Okay.
Kaivalya Upanishad is also talking about the 3 states of consciousness, which is waking, dream, and sleep. In that Upanishad also, it's a very, very beautiful Upanishad, and it reveals the secret, and it will teach us how to remain as Atma and drop all our attributes of the mind. Just say the mind is all nothing, but it's a false appearance. I am the pure Atma. So to answer your question, Kaivalya Upanishad is what I will take after the Gita.
Gita, okay. You don't stop.
But that is going to come at least, maybe it's going to take maybe even 6 months. I don't know, because the 16, 17, 18 chapter is very big. Yeah. 78 mantras are there in Gita. So it will take at least 4 months for me to finish the Gita.
Okay. Oh, that's good for me.
Yeah.
I don't want you to. What are we doing next Wednesday?
Which one? Next Wednesday, there's a new text which is called as Panchadasi.
Okay.
I will send you some notes on that. Next week, you will receive notes on Panchadasi. Malati, you have a question?
Sorry to interrupt. Yesterday I was listening some satsanga. In that Swamiji was saying like that. To be a mumukshu, you have to get some qualities in you. First one is less accumulation. Means mujhe wo chahiye, ye chahiye. By getting that I will be happy. Less shopping, less seeking for entertainment. That is the first quality. Second quality is less association with the society. So don't mix with so many people, don't be so friendly with everybody. You just in yourself and be associate with yourself only. Why do you need so many association with the outer world? That is the second one. Third one is less activities, like going to this one, trekking, swimming, jogging, like that. Means you have to conserve your energy so that you have to think about this Advaita things like that.
Yes.
So what is your opinion about this?
Okay, see, the Swamiji, whoever you are listening, is very right. Because if all your time is spent behind these type of activities, you will never come to Vedanta.
Yes.
You will never come to Bhagavad Gita because you won't have time.
He says your Vedantic, this one is not a time pass.
Yes.
उसके साथ फिल्म के साथ ये भी थोड़ा देखेंगे, उसके साथ ये भी थोड़ा पढ़ेंगे. That should not be. This is your main focus. So you have to reduce your other activities.
No, he's absolutely correct, because that's what I was saying, that this in the beginning of today's talk, that's what I was saying, that this is not an objective science. It is not that it's not like going to college and learning about some physics or something, you know. There, you're not applying it to yourself. It is information. It is knowledge about a particular section of the field of science, whether it is biology, microscience, zoology, chemistry, computer science, geology. They are all different objective sciences. Now here, it is not when you come to a Vedanta class, or Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad, what we are trying to see is whatever the Upanishads or the Bhagavad Gita is saying, I have to apply to myself. I have to think about it and say, I am that. When the Mandukya Upanishad says, this is Turiya Atma, you should not say that Upanishad is saying Turiya Atma and it is there somewhere, you know. You have to say that Turiya Atma is me. I have to realize it as myself. That is why when you come to this spiritual study, there are 3 steps: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. So as much of listening you do, you must also spend the same amount of time reflecting. In fact, there are some Swamijis who say that suppose you spend X amount of time for listening, you should spend 2x for reflecting and 3x for Nididhyasanam. So this is not like any other study, but all this requires time. So it is at the same time we must realize we are all grihasthas. We are all grihasthas. We are in a family. We are born in a family. We have a family. What is recommended is we allocate time. So much time I will give for my family. So much time I will give for my personal study. So you should reduce your activities to an extent possible and then give some time for self-study.
Yeah.
That self-study slowly will become more and more as you grow older. You see, when you are young, 20 years, 22 years, 24 years, but in this class itself, there are 25, 27, 27-year-old people who are also listening in the same time. They are very fortunate because at a very young age, people like Rohit Menon, who is right now attending, he's getting this knowledge. It's fantastic because at very young age, he is able to spend time and he has seen the value of this knowledge, the value of what he has learned in 5 years. Now, he also has reduced his activities coming to these talks for 5 years. It's not 1 year. Continuously coming because he has found some value in this learning. So that answers your question. Yes, I agree with what that Swamiji has said. Okay, any other questions?
So second one.
Shekharji. Yeah, it was really wonderful going through this once again. Now, I just want to say, like, some of these Upanishads and all, since earlier also we have done it and now we have done it. So it is necessary that we do again and again, particularly this Mandukya Upanishad with this Kayakarni. It's such a fantastic Upanishad because this is the one which deals, sometimes I feel as if is doing anatomy and surgery of the mind. See, like the normal anatomy and surgery, what we do, we have an object right in front, it becomes easy actually. But to doing a subject anatomy, the one which we cannot see, that avyakta, the way these 12 mantras it says, because the first few mantras, when we just see, it deals simply about the 3 avasthas and all. But the way it enters deep into this surgery part of the avasthas, analyzing, the most important thing what I just realized while particularly going the second chapter, the Kayakarni, that Prapanchopasa and all. See, every time what we think is like we agree that I am not the body, I am not the mind, but still why I am not able to get it actually, why I am not able to get that. If we just see that second chapter where the lot of emphasis is given on the adhyasa, we may be having a knowledge. It's not only a knowledge. What this particular Upanishad, I was just trying to analyze like what we had done earlier now. So now what I found something different earlier. I was earlier only looking, okay, the 3 states and superimposing, blah, blah things and all that. So what is made us not to feel that scenario is there's a lot of adhyasa, there's a lot of impressions which are dominating, superimposing and all, so which will take time, and for which there is also a result which has been given. Like I was just going through like the Kayakarni, the 90th verse, where which has been highlighted very precisely sadhana. Sadhana is required. Like we may attain to some extent the Shravanam and the Mananam part by continuing, but Nididhyasa, it cannot happen without sadhana. So Mandukya Upanishad, that is the reason they have put so much effort. 3 mantras out of 12 mantras, 3 mantras are saying about the A, U, Ma and the gap and realizing that silence, which is something different. So this is something to do with the surgery part of the mind.
Yes.
So because see, when we just see the tattva pradhana, the various tattva, we know that all this bhumi, akash, jala, vayu, agni and all. So the mind is more subtler than this. So to understand such a subtler thing, the way the analysis has been done, I really found very, very amazing. So that adhyasa is a very, very powerful scenario which is blocking. And because of the impressions and all that, so which can be removed by doing continuous nididhyasa. And for that, we need to have a very, very strong faith that Vedanta, which says, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. So we should have a very strong faith in that. Faith is another feature, so which we can get it through knowledge. But the Vijnana is not only enough. Both removing that adhyasa is also which is overdoing the whole scenario. So that plays a vital role.
Yeah,
So,
this is exactly what I was saying last week to Shama about that emotions, you know. That emotions are the one which are the greatest obstacles to us.
Yeah, right.
exactly. Yeah.
For all of us, it is the emotions, you know, it's the emotion which comes
Looking
bubbling
forward to
up.
your Vichar Sagara.
Yeah, that is Vichara Sagara. You know, in the 6th chapter of Vichara Sagara, it is a clarity with which that author comes out and says that these emotions are the main obstacle why you're not accepting this Turiya Atma. Because the emotions come in the morning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. And that is where he says these emotions do not belong to the mind. It belongs, it is something which is anirvachaniya. It is uncategorizable.
Yeah. Cannot be put in
These
words.
emotions cannot be categorized as Atma or as Anatma. It is something which is there, but that is what you have to drop. The moment you are
Yes,
able
come in.
to drop your emotions,
You keep doing all that. I'm here.
that is where the Vichara Sagara is very clear that, you know, Nishala Dasa, the author of Vichara Sagara, if you are happy with the surgery of Mandukya Upanishad, the surgery you see in Vichara Sagara is 100 times that of Mandukya, what you have heard so far. In Vichara Sagara, they go to much more finer depths.
Yeah.
And he says that the emotions, that is why I wanted to convey that to you today in the talk. Learn to drop that emotions which you experience every day as though. They are just as though appearing in me and disappearing in me. But I am the Turiya.
No need to be attached. Yeah.
Don't get attached to it. Don't take that emotion which comes as reality. Drop them as an appearance. This is where the problem of adhyasa is. Shankaracharya's main problem is, he says that this is the main adhyasa of the human mind. The emotions which rise in you, they make you feel as if you are suffering samsara.
Helpless, totally. Yeah,
You're
sometimes.
totally helpless if you're attached to the emotions. Learn to drop the emotions are just appearances. See them as not reality, because I give reality to the emotions and then I feel the world is real. The moment you say that the emotions are coming and going, you know, I need not be so bothered about it. I am the pure consciousness, I'm observing it, that's all. I can learn to drop it. And this learning to drop that emotions as real is the real challenge. And if you learn that, it's fantastic.
You shouldn't get attached to it, or we must have dropped it at once, isn't it? The emotion.
Yes, that's correct. Learn to drop the emotions as soon as they rise.
Yes.
Don't get attached to it. Just say, hey, come on, I'm getting some emotion now in my mind. Immediately say, okay, it's just an appearance, you know. And through the emotions only we conduct our vyavahara. Through the emotions, I want to do this, I want to do that. Each one of them is an emotion. And then I feel fulfilled or I don't feel fulfilled also because of the emotions. In life, it is the emotions which rule my life. Yeah. If I don't give importance to those emotions, I learn to be free. Yeah, Shama?
Just really, this is dedicated, I think, to Malati, because we were just discussing about what should we do. So this is just some thoughts, yeah? I was doing some dissection of the mind. So this is really where it came from. So it says, be like the bee, you know, so it's about being, you know, we need to be beings in that being, doing, and having. So having is about collecting stuff.
Correct, yeah.
Being is really the being, which is where Vedanta is helping.
Yeah.
And the other is the karma, the doing. So the three states. So this is about how to be. So it says, be like the bee, be not the fly. which festers on food and filth, but be the bee that must take the nectar alone.
Very good.
The nectar alone, labor you must until you come to the truth, the final truth. And thus established in the final destination, there is no return to this beautiful world of doubt and despair. All our life, we are living through doubt and despair, fueled by mind's endless desires. You've traveled mindlessly from one to the other objects of desire, of material gains, of possessions, power and position. So the possession, power and position. And the others not so material, the world of great enticing thoughts and ideals, the so-called, the goodness, even the goodness, the idea of goodness, goals of charity and help. It's an endless mind tricks that keeps seeking of that stops this, that keeps away the seeking of the soul, so elusive. The jiva thus caught in the mind's bewitching Maya's grips. What shall it do? Approach the kind master, the guru, who may in his grace shall take the wayward soul to her destiny. So this is her, to her destiny, to know and enjoy the truth alone. That alone you may love, and then alone you shall be the bee that takes the nectar alone. So it's a long story about the bee.
Very well constructed, very beautiful.
You must just be.
Very
So
good.
when I think of Vedanta, it is like taking the nectar.
Yes.
So Malati, I suppose that's dedicated to you. It inspired me to recall what was
See,
written.
when you are in sattvic state of mind, you will get such a beautiful poems and all.
Yes.
But this is really
Shamaji, you wrote this? You
Yes,
only wrote this?
Yeah, it just,
So
I
beautiful.
I get so troubled sometimes. So the trouble is good in a way.
Okay. Sir, continuing on that topic, just I was telling, no, I was listening a satsang and Swamiji was telling so many and so and so and so. Then one lady asks, sir, I am in so many charitable trusts. I want to do charities to some society. So I am so much involved in charity. So I am busy in that. Then Swamiji directly asks, do you want to do charity all in your life, or do you want moksha? If you want moksha, then you lessen your activity.
Yes, you're right.
Directly told me.
No, that's right. It's right. It's you know, you can end up doing charity all your life, but that only gives you purity of mind.
Yes,
Like
yes.
I have done medicine all my life. And in some ways, it was God's grace that I had the desire to help, and I did. But even now, a part of my mind, I don't want to stop. I want to do charity and this and that. You know, so it's just really keeping away from the goal. So that's why I was through all this muddle. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else has anything? Otherwise, we will stop here.
Did a very nice session.
Yeah. Thank you, Chandra.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week. And good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Shikhaji.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohit.